My loyal guardians, the time has come to rise and defend our realm. Prepare for battle. Our enemies will know our strength.
You can choose any woman you want, human, she said. When I answered, I want you, Captain Marcus Webb opened his eyes slowly. His head hurt. His body ached everywhere. The last thing he remembered was the explosion. His fighter crashing into the massive Catharan command ship, the blinding flash of light, and then nothing. He sat up carefully and looked around. The room was unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls glowed with soft blue light. The bed beneath him felt like floating on clouds. Strange symbols moved across transparent screens in the air. This was not a human ship. The door opened without a sound. A tall figure entered the room. Marcus stared. She was beautiful in a way that seemed impossible. Her skin was silver, shimmering like starlight. Her eyes were deep and dark, like looking into space itself. She wore robes that moved like liquid metal. "You are awake, human," she said. Her voice was cold but musical. "I am Empress Silvera of the Celestial Dominion. You are aboard my flagship." Marcus tried to stand, but his legs were weak. Where is my crew? Where is Earth?" "Your crew did not survive the battle," Silvera said without emotion. "You are the only one. Earth still exists. We arrived in time to stop the Catharon from destroying your planet." Marcus felt his heart break. All of them. Jenkins, Rodriguez, Commander Chen, all gone. He was alone. "Why am I alive?" he asked quietly. "Because you did something impossible," Silvera replied. "You destroyed the Catharon command dreadnought with a single damaged fighter. No one has ever done this before. You broke their fleet. You gave us the opening we needed to drive them away." Outside, Marcus could see Earth. Blue and green and beautiful, hanging in the darkness of space. Ships of strange designs surrounded it. "The Dominion fleet. The Council has debated what to do with you," Silvera continued. "You are a warrior who achieved the impossible. By our ancient laws, you may claim a reward." The door opened again. More beings entered the room. Creatures of different shapes and sizes, some tall, some small, some with wings, some with extra arms. But all of them were female, and all of them were beautiful in their own unique ways. Marcus recognized representatives from species he had only seen in intelligence reports: the green-skinned Valorians, the crystal-bodied Luminae, the cat-like Phylexians. Dozens of species, all standing in a line. "You may choose any woman you want, human," Silvera said. Her tone suggested she found this entire ceremony boring. "One will become your companion, and through her, your species will gain a political connection to the Dominion. It is a great honor." Marcus looked at the gallery of alien women. They were all extraordinary. Any one of them would be an amazing choice. But his eyes kept returning to Silvera. She stood apart from the others, looking out the window at Earth. She held herself like someone who had forgotten how to relax. Her face showed no emotion, but Marcus saw something in the way she stood. A deep loneliness that he recognized because he felt it too. Everyone he cared about was dead. He was the last soldier of a war that humanity had lost, and this empress, surrounded by thousands of people, looked just as alone as he felt. "I want you," Marcus said clearly. The room went silent. Every being in the chamber turned to stare at him. Some gasped. Others whispered urgently to each other. Silvera turned slowly. For the first time, her cold expression changed. Her eyes widened slightly. "What did you say?" "I choose you," Marcus repeated. He stood up, ignoring the pain in his body. "Empress Silvera, that is my choice." The whispers became shouts. Council members appeared on holographic screens, all talking at once. Marcus heard words like impossible and insult and forbidden. But Silvera raised one hand, and everyone fell silent immediately. "You do not understand what you are asking, human," she said. Her voice was still cold, but something flickered in her eyes. "I am the Empress of the Celestial Dominion. I have ruled for 300 of your years. I have rejected marriage offers from kings, warlords, and legendary heroes across 1,000 worlds. I am called the Untouchable Empress." I understand, Marcus said. I still choose you. Why? The question came out sharper than she intended. You could choose any of these women and gain an easy life. Why choose the one person who is impossible? Marcus thought about his answer carefully. Because you offered me any woman I want, and I want someone who understands what it is like to be alone in a room full of people. Someone who has forgotten what it feels like to truly connect with another person. Someone who needs to remember that being strong does not mean being alone. Silvara stared at him for a long moment. The galaxy-like eyes seemed to look right through him, reading his soul. Finally, she smiled. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of a predator who had just been challenged. Very well, Captain Marcus Webb, she said. By the ancient laws, I cannot refuse without breaking my word before the entire council. But I will not make this easy for you. If you truly want me, you must prove yourself worthy through the trials of worth. 5 trials, each more difficult than the last. If you fail even one, you will lose everything, including your life. Do you accept these terms? Marcus did not hesitate. I accept. Then let the trials begin, Silvara declared. Tomorrow, you face your first test. I suggest you rest well, human. Very few survive what comes next. As the council members filed out of the room, still whispering in shock, Silvara paused at the door. She looked back at Marcus one more time. You are either very brave or very foolish, she said quietly. Perhaps both. Then she was gone, leaving Marcus alone with his impossible choice. The first trial began at dawn. Marcus was brought to a massive arena filled with thousands of spectators from dozens of alien species. They had come to watch the human who dared to choose the untouchable Empress. Silvara sat on a throne high above the arena floor. Her silver skin gleamed in the artificial light. Her face showed no emotion as she looked down at Marcus. The first trial is strength, she announced. Her voice echoed through the arena. You must move the stone of mountains from one end of the arena to the other. You have 1 hour. Marcus looked at the object before him. It was not really a stone. It was a massive block of dense metal, glowing with strange energy. It was easily the size of a small house. A creature stepped forward, a Gorath, one of the strongest species in the galaxy. It was 3 times Marcus's height, with muscles like steel cables. The Gorath grabbed the stone and lifted it easily, carrying it across the arena in minutes. That is how it should be done, Silvara said. Begin, human. Marcus walked around the stone slowly. He touched it, pushed it, tested its weight. It did not move even slightly. He could not lift this. No human could. But he did not need to lift it. Marcus spent the next 30 minutes searching the arena. He found metal beams, old equipment, and cable from the arena's construction. While the crowd laughed and mocked him, he built something, a lever system with pulleys and counterweights. He worked carefully, using physics and engineering principles that humans had known for centuries. When he was done, he attached his system to the stone and began to pull, slowly, incredibly. The massive stone began to slide across the arena floor. The laughter stopped. The crowd watched in silence as Marcus moved the impossible stone, not through strength, but through intelligence. He finished with 5 minutes to spare. Silvara leaned forward in her throne. Interesting, she said softly. The second trial came the next day. Speed. Marcus had to race against a Velocian, a species that could move faster than sound itself. The track was 10 kilometers long, with obstacles and barriers. The Velocian finished in 43 seconds. It was impossible for Marcus to match. But Marcus had studied the track. He noticed that the obstacles formed a pattern. While the Velocian ran the official path, Marcus took shortcuts, climbed walls, and used gravity to slide down steep sections. He predicted where the Velocian would be and positioned himself to arrive first at the checkpoints that mattered. He did not win the race, but he reached the finish line before the Velocian by using strategy instead of speed. The crowd was no longer laughing. They were watching with genuine interest. During the break between trials, Silvara came to Marcus's quarters. She did not announce herself. The door simply opened, and she entered. You are not trying to beat them at their own game, she observed. You are changing the rules. Marcus looked up from the medical scanner treating his injuries. I cannot be stronger than a Gorath or faster than a Velocian, but I can think differently than they do. And you believe this will help you win me? Salvara's tone was sharp, but her eyes showed curiosity. I do not want to win you, Marcus said honestly. You are not a prize to be won. I want to understand you, and I want you to understand me. Silvera was quiet for a long moment. Tell me about your species, she said finally. Tell me about humans. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We do not have psychic powers or advanced technology. But we never give up. We adapt. We find ways to survive when survival should be impossible. And we care about each other, even when it hurts to care. Even when it hurts, Silvara repeated. Especially then, Marcus said. In my final battle, I knew I would probably die. But I flew anyway, because my friends needed me. Because Earth needed me. That is what makes us human. As Silvara studied his face. You are very different from the warriors I have known. Tell me about Etherians, Marcus asked. Tell me about your people. They talked for hours. She told him about Etherian philosophy, their long lives, their focus on logic and control. She told him about the loneliness of leadership, the weight of centuries, the isolation of power. Marcus listened carefully, asking questions, trying to truly understand her world. When she left, she paused at the door. The third trial is tomorrow, she said. It will test your psychic ability. Humans have none. You will fail, maybe, Marcus agreed, but I will try anyway. The third trial was held in a chamber filled with telepathic species. Marcus had to identify which of 10 beings was lying, using only his mind. He could not read thoughts. He had no psychic powers at all, but he watched carefully. He studied body language, facial expressions, breathing patterns, the tiny movements that revealed emotion. While telepaths relied only on surface thoughts, Marcus used every other sense he had. He identified the liar correctly. The crowd erupted in applause. Even some council members stood from their seats. Silvera did not applaud, but Marcus saw something in her eyes that had not been there before. Respect. The fourth trial was announced. The Paradox of the Infinite Garden. It was a philosophical puzzle that had confused scholars for thousands of years. Marcus would have 3 days to solve it, but that night, Silvara visited him again. This time, she brought food from her own table, and they ate together. She told him about the paradox, explaining its complexity. Why are you helping me? Marcus asked. Silvara looked at him. Because you were the first person in 300 years who has asked me about my thoughts instead of my power. Because you listen when I speak. Because you see me as a person, not as an empress. You are a person, Marcus said simply. A person who deserves to be known, not just feared or admired. Silvara's hand trembled slightly, the first time Marcus had seen her show any physical sign of emotion. The paradox cannot be solved, she whispered. Many have tried, all have failed. Then maybe I need to change the question. He spent 3 days thinking. On the final day, he stood before the council and presented his answer. The paradox of the infinite garden cannot be solved, he said, because it asks the wrong question. It assumes we must choose between infinite growth and perfect order. But the paradox exists only because we accept that assumption. The real answer is that gardens need both growth and care, chaos and order. Together, the paradox disappears when we stop trying to choose only one. The council chamber fell silent. Then, one by one, the ancient scholars began to nod. Silvara stood from her throne. The human has passed the fourth trial, but her voice was different now, softer, almost vulnerable. Tomorrow comes the fifth and final trial, she announced. Marcus Webb will face me in psychic combat. If he survives, he wins everything. If he fails, he dies. That night, neither of them slept. Both knew that tomorrow would change everything. The psychic combat arena was different from the others. It was a circular room with walls that glowed like the inside of a star. In the center stood 2 chairs facing each other. Between them floated a crystal sphere that pulsed with energy. Marcus entered first. The crowd was larger than ever before. Every council member attended. Representatives from 100 worlds filled the viewing galleries. Everyone wanted to see the human who had passed 4 impossible trials. Everyone wanted to see him fail the 5th. Silvera entered last. She wore ceremonial armor that shimmered like liquid silver. Her expression was cold and distant once more. The mask of the untouchable empress firmly back in place. But Marcus had learned to see beyond masks. He noticed the slight tension in her shoulders, the way her fingers curled and uncurled at her sides. She was nervous. They sat in the chairs facing each other. An ancient Etherean scholar approached, carrying the crystal sphere. "The rules are simple," the scholar announced. "Your minds will be linked through the sphere. Empress Silvara will test the human's mental defenses. If his mind breaks, he dies. If he somehow survives for 10 minutes, he passes. The Empress has never taken more than 30 seconds to defeat an opponent." The scholar placed the crystal sphere between them. "You may begin when ready." Silvara looked at Marcus. For just a moment, her cold expression cracked. Her eyes asked a silent question. "Are you sure you want this?" Marcus nodded. He was sure. She reached out and touched the sphere. Marcus did the same. The connection was instant and overwhelming. Marcus felt his consciousness pulled into something vast and ancient. Silvara's mind was like an ocean, deep, powerful, and endless. Memories flooded over him. He saw centuries of her life in seconds. Battles won. Decisions made. People lost. The terrible loneliness of living while everyone she loved grew old and died. Then the attack came. Silvara's psychic power crashed against his mind like a tsunami. She showed him his fears, his friends dying in the battle, Earth burning, himself failing and disgracing humanity. The images were so real that Marcus gasped in pain. The crowd leaned forward. 30 seconds had passed. The human was still conscious, but barely. Silvara increased the pressure. She pushed deeper into his memories, searching for weakness. She saw his childhood, his training, his first combat mission. She saw his doubts and insecurities. She prepared to deliver the final blow that would shatter his mind. But then Marcus did something completely unexpected. He stopped defending. Instead of building mental walls or fighting back, Marcus opened his mind completely. He let her see everything, not just his fears, but his hopes, his dreams, his memories of human connection and love. She saw him as a child, laughing with his family. She saw his academy graduation, surrounded by friends. She saw the soldiers of his unit joking and supporting each other even as they faced certain death. She saw the moment he decided to make his final attack, not because he wanted to die, but because he wanted his sacrifice to mean something. And she saw why he had chosen her. He had seen her standing alone, isolated by power and immortality, and he recognized that loneliness because he felt it too. He wanted to reach across that distance. He wanted to connect. Silvara hesitated. This was not psychic combat. This was something else entirely. Marcus's thoughts were clear in the connection. "I am not trying to fight you. I am trying to show you who I am. I am trying to let you know me." She could destroy him easily. One push and his mind would break. But as she prepared to do it, something stopped her. In all her centuries, no one had ever been this vulnerable with her. No one had opened themselves completely without fear of judgment or exploitation. Warriors had challenged her with strength. Scholars had tried to impress her with knowledge. Kings had offered her wealth and power. But this human offered something different. He offered genuine connection. Silvera's attack faltered. She pushed deeper into his memories, searching for deception, for hidden motives. She found none. He was exactly what he appeared to be, someone who saw her pain and wanted to ease it, even knowing it would cost him everything. She saw his understanding. That Etherean bonding was permanent, that she would outlive him by centuries. That accepting him meant accepting future grief. He knew all of this, and he chose her anyway. "Why?" she asked through the connection. "Why choose certain pain?" Marcus's answer was simple and clear. Because feeling something real is better than feeling nothing at all. Because connection is worth the risk. Because you deserve to be loved, even if love is temporary. Especially because it is temporary. The crowd murmured in amazement. No one had ever lasted this long. Silvara withdrew slightly from his mind. For the first time in 300 years, she felt something crack inside herself. The walls she had built around her heart, the ice that protected her from pain. This human was teaching her something she had forgotten. That strength was not about being invulnerable. That power was not about standing alone. That the courage to feel, to connect, to risk pain, that was the greatest strength of all. 7 minutes. She could feel the council watching, waiting for her to finish this. She could end it right now, crush his mind, and maintain her reputation as untouchable and invincible. But she did not want to be untouchable anymore. 8 minutes. You are going to make me feel again, she thought at him. You are going to make me vulnerable. Yes, Marcus agreed. And you are going to teach me to see the universe through ancient eyes. We will change each other. That is what connection means. 9 minutes. The sphere pulsed brighter. The connection deepened further. Silvara felt something she had not felt in centuries. Hope. Not hope for power or victory, but hope for companionship, for understanding, for someone who saw her as more than an empress. 10 minutes passed. The crystal sphere chimed, signaling the end of the trial. The crowd erupted in shocked disbelief. Silvara released the connection and stood. Her legs were unsteady. Marcus slumped in his chair, exhausted but alive. Tears ran down his face. He had felt her loneliness, her pain, the weight of her centuries. He understood her completely now. She looked at the council, her expression unreadable. The human has passed, she announced. Her voice was steady, but those who knew her well noticed the slight tremor. He has demonstrated the greatest psychic ability of all, the courage to truly connect with another mind without barriers or deception. You did not finish the battle, one shouted. The battle was finished, Silvara said coldly. He won the moment he showed me that true strength lies not in domination, but in vulnerability. She turned to Marcus. By the laws of our people, you have earned your reward. I will fulfill my promise. She paused, and for just a moment, the cold Empress mask slipped completely. But you must understand what you are asking. Etherian bonding is permanent. I will be linked to your mind and heart for as long as you live, and when you die, in perhaps 50 or 60 of your human years, I will feel that death through our bond. I will experience your pain, your fear, your ending. No Etherian has willingly accepted such certain grief in our entire history. She stepped closer to him. I am giving you one final chance to choose differently. Choose another. Choose an easier path. Marcus stood, his legs shaking. He looked directly into her galaxy-like eyes. I choose you, Silvara. I choose connection over comfort. I choose to truly live, even if it is brief, and I am asking you to make the same choice. The council chamber held its breath. Silvara closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they glistened with something that looked almost like tears. Then we will face this together, she said softly. Let the bonding ceremony begin. The bonding ceremony took place 3 days later. The grand hall was filled with witnesses from every corner of the Dominion. Marcus stood in ceremonial robes that felt strange on his human body. Silvara faced him, wearing white garments that seemed to glow from within. Between them floated a bonding crystal, far larger and more powerful than the one used in the trial. An ancient priestess spoke words in a language older than human civilization. Once this bond is formed, it cannot be broken, the priestess warned. Your minds will be connected. Your emotions will flow between you. You will feel each other's joy and pain. Do you both accept this? I accept, Silvara said clearly. I accept, Marcus echoed. They each placed one hand on the crystal. Energy flowed through it, bright and overwhelming. Marcus gasped as Silvara's consciousness flooded into his mind, not attacking this time, but joining. He felt her centuries of memories, her vast knowledge, her deep loneliness beginning to heal. And she felt him, his short human life burning bright and fierce, his capacity for joy and love, his determination and courage. She experienced human emotion with an intensity she had never known. It was almost painful, but also beautiful. The crystal flared and then faded. The bond was complete. Marcus and Silvera stood together, connected in a way that went beyond words. Through their bond, they could feel each other's presence constantly, a warm awareness that neither was alone anymore. The crowd applauded, but not everyone was happy. In the shadows of the council chamber, Archon Velgorath watched with cold fury. He was an ancient Etherian, older even than Silvera, and he had wanted the throne for centuries. This union between the Empress and a primitive human was an insult to everything he believed. Worse, it changed the political balance. Earth would now be a protected world under Dominion law. Humanity would gain access to technology and resources that other species had waited millennia to receive. It was unacceptable. Velgorath began to plan. 2 weeks passed. Marcus and Solera learned to live with their bond. It was not easy. Silvera had to adjust to feeling human emotions. They were so intense compared to Etherian control. Marcus had to handle glimpses of memories that were centuries old, knowledge that made his head hurt. But they also discovered joy. Through their bond, they shared experiences that neither could have alone. Silvera felt the simple pleasure of human laughter. Marcus saw the universe through eyes that had witnessed the birth of stars. They were walking through the ship's garden when the emergency alarm sounded. Silvera's expression changed instantly. Through their bond, Marcus felt her surge of concern. They ran together to the command center. The head of intelligence was waiting. Empress, we have received troubling news. The Catharon fleet is regrouping. They are preparing another assault on Earth. Marcus felt his blood turn cold when, within 2 weeks, the intelligence officer said, maybe less. Silvera immediately turned to the council. We must send the fleet to protect Earth. The Kataran cannot be allowed. I disagree, Velgorath interrupted smoothly. He stood from his seat, his expression calm. Our forces are stretched thin across the Dominion. We cannot commit the entire fleet to protect one world, even if that world is special to you, Empress. Other council members murmured agreement. Velgorath had been working behind the scenes, building support. Earth is now part of the Dominion, Silvera said sharply. We are bound to protect it. We will send a small defense force, Velgorath said. Sufficient for most threats, but the Catharon are unpredictable. If Earth falls, despite our assistance, well, such is war. Silvera's anger flared. Through their bond, Marcus felt it like fire. But he also felt something else. She was trapped. Velgorath had maneuvered carefully. If she overruled the council without proof of his manipulation, she would start a civil war. If she committed the full fleet against council wishes, other worlds would rebel. She was paralyzed between her duty as Empress and her bond to Marcus. Marcus took her hand. Through their connection, he sent calmness and understanding. Then he spoke aloud. There is another way. Let me return to Earth, Marcus said. I will lead the defense myself. I have learned Dominion tactics and strategies through our bond. I can teach Earth's forces what they need to know. Give me one ship with basic supplies, and I will show the Council that humanity deserves their place in the Dominion, not through your protection, Empress, but through our own strength. Silvera's fear shot through their bond like lightning. No, if you go back, you could die. I would feel everything through our connection. I would experience your death. I know, Marcus said softly, looking only at her. But this is the only way. If Earth falls while hiding behind you, we prove Velgorath right, that humans are weak and need constant protection. But if we fight and win on our own, we earn true respect. Through their bond, she felt his certainty. She also felt his fear, but his determination was stronger. Velgorath smiled coldly. The human makes a reasonable suggestion. Let him prove his species worthy. We will send one scout ship with him. Nothing more. The council voted, it passed. Marcus would return to Earth. That night, Marcus and Silvera stood together in her private chambers. She held him close. her silver skin cool against his warmth. "I am afraid," she whispered. It was the first time she had admitted fear to anyone in centuries.
"So am I," Marcus admitted.
But we knew this would not be easy. We chose connection, remember? That means facing fear together. Through their bond, they opened their minds to each other completely. No words were needed. They shared everything: memories, feelings, hopes, and fears. Silvara showed him the depth of her growing love. Marcus showed her his absolute determination to return to her. They held each other until dawn. The next morning, Marcus boarded a small Aetherian scout ship. Silvera stood on the hangar deck, surrounded by her attendants but completely alone in her fear. "Come back to me," she said through their bond. "Always," Marcus promised. The ship launched, heading toward Earth. Through their connection, Silvara felt every moment of his journey. His worry, his planning, his fierce determination. And in the council chambers, Velgorath smiled. Everything was proceeding exactly as he had planned. The human would die, Earth would fall, and the Empress would be broken by grief. Then, finally, the throne would be his. But he had made one critical mistake. He had underestimated what humans could do when fighting for someone they loved. Marcus arrived at Earth's orbital defense station exactly 6 days before the Kytheron fleet was expected. The human commanders gathered quickly when they learned that the legendary Captain Webb, the hero everyone thought was dead, had returned. "I know you are tired," Marcus told them in the briefing room. "I know we lost many good people, but the Kytheron are coming back, and this time we will be ready." He shared everything he had learned from Silvara through their bond. Dominion tactics, Kytheron weaknesses, advanced strategies that human forces had never considered. The commanders listened with growing hope. Admiral Chen, the sister of Marcus's fallen friend, stepped forward. "We thought you were dead. We mourned you. Now you come back and ask us to fight again?" "I am not asking you to fight for me," Marcus said. "I am asking you to fight for Earth, for humanity, to prove that we belong among the stars, not because someone protects us, but because we refuse to give up." Admiral Chen studied his face. Then she smiled. "Welcome back, Captain. Let us show these aliens what humans can do." The preparation began immediately. Marcus reorganized Earth's defensive formations, using Aetherian principles, but adapted for human strengths, unpredictability, rapid adaptation, and absolute refusal to surrender. Meanwhile, thousands of light years away, Silvara sat in the council chamber. Through their bond, she felt everything Marcus experienced. His exhaustion as he worked day and night, his determination as he trained the crews, his fear that he might fail. She tried to maintain her Empress composure, but her hands trembled. Council members watched her with fascination and concern. The untouchable Empress was clearly suffering. Velgorath observed her carefully, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The Kytheron fleet arrived early. They emerged from hyperspace like a swarm of dark insects. Hundreds of ships, far more than intelligence had predicted. They had come to finish what they started, to destroy Earth completely. Marcus stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, watching the enemy approach. Through their bond, he felt Silvara's terror spike. "I am here," he sent to her across the void. "I am afraid, but I am not alone. You are with me." Earth's forces moved in patterns the Kytheron had never seen before. Human ships scattered and regrouped unpredictably. They used emotional coordination, something the hive-mind Kytheron could not understand or counter. Captains made split-second decisions based on intuition rather than pure logic. The Kytheron adapted, but humans adapted faster. In the council chamber, Silvara gasped as Marcus's ship took a direct hit. She felt his pain, his fear, but also his absolute focus. Other council members stared at her. Some looked sympathetic. Others looked calculating. Velgorath stood. "Empress, you are clearly compromised by your bond. You cannot lead while experiencing such distraction. I call for an emergency vote to temporarily dissolve the Union until the crisis passes." Several council members nodded. They had been convinced by Velgorath's private arguments. But then something unexpected happened. An elder from the Lumini species stood. I disagree. Look at her. The Empress is experiencing her bondmate's battle in real time, feeling his every fear and pain, yet she remains functional. She continues her duties. This demonstrates strength we have never witnessed before. Another council member stood. I also disagree with Velgorath. The human passed impossible trials. He earned this bond honorably. To dissolve it now would dishonor our own laws. His plan was falling apart. At Earth, the battle reached its critical point. The Kataron command ship pushed through every defensive line. Marcus realized with cold certainty what he had to do. There was only one way to stop them. The same suicide run that had worked before. Through their bond, Silvera felt his decision form. No, she screamed aloud in the council chamber, startling everyone. Marcus, I forbid it. Do not do this. But Marcus's response was clear and loving. You taught me that some things are worth the grief. Humanity is worth this. You are worth having felt this. He began his attack run. Silvara stood from her throne. Tears streamed down her silver face, something no one had ever seen before. She made her choice in that instant. Send the fleet, she commanded. Full deployment to Earth. Now, Empress, the Council has not authorized. An aide began. I am authorizing it. Silvara's voice rang with absolute authority. I am the Empress of the Celestial Dominion, and I will not watch my bondmate die while we debate politics. Velgorath stood. This is exactly why the bond must be dissolved. She is acting from emotion, not logic. She is acting from love, the Lumine elder said quietly. Perhaps that is what we have been missing. The Dominion fleet jumped to hyperspace. Marcus was seconds from impact when space around Earth exploded with light. Dozens of Dominion warships emerged from hyperspace, their weapons blazing. They tore into the Catharon fleet with devastating precision. A tractor beam caught Marcus's ship, pulling him away from his collision course. His fighter was dragged safely into a Dominion carrier. The Catharon fleet, caught between human determination and Dominion firepower, broke and fled. Earth had won. Marcus collapsed in his cockpit, exhausted. Through their bond, he felt Silvara's overwhelming relief and joy. In the council chamber, evidence of Velgorath's manipulation was quickly discovered. He had been secretly limiting the defense fleet sent to Earth, hoping for humanity's failure. He was removed from the council immediately. But more importantly, something had changed. The council had witnessed Silvara's strength, not the cold control they were used to, but the courage to feel deeply and still act decisively. The Empress has shown us a new kind of power, the Lumine elder announced. Perhaps we have been wrong to value only logic and control. Perhaps emotion and connection make us stronger, not weaker. Earth was granted full membership in the Dominion, not as a protected species, but as equal partners. 3 weeks later, Marcus recovered in the medical bay aboard the flagship. Silvara sat beside him, holding his hand, a gesture she had learned from humans. You nearly died, she said softly. I nearly lived alone forever, Marcus replied. This is better. She smiled, a real warm smile that transformed her face. The untouchable Empress was untouchable no longer. Through their bond, they did not need words. They felt each other's presence, their shared love, their mutual understanding. What happens now? Marcus asked. Now we live, Silvara said. We teach the Dominion what you taught me. That strength comes not from isolation, but from the courage to connect. That feeling pain means we are truly alive. That love, even temporary love, is worth every moment of grief it might bring. She squeezed his hand. You changed me, Marcus Webb. You changed the entire Dominion. We changed each other, Marcus corrected. That is what connection means. As Earth began its integration into galactic civilization, Marcus and Silvera became symbols of a new philosophy. They traveled together, speaking to worlds across the Dominion, teaching that vulnerability was not weakness and that emotional bonds made civilizations stronger, not weaker. The untouchable Empress had learned to touch and be touched. The last human soldier had found he was not alone after all. And in choosing each other, they had changed the galaxy forever. Years would pass, decades. Eventually, Marcus would grow old while Silvara remained young. The grief she had accepted would come, but neither of them regretted their choice. For they had learned the greatest truth of all. It is better to love and lose than never to love at all. It is better to connect and hurt than to remain safe and alone. It is better to truly live for a brief time than to merely exist forever. They had chosen each other. They had chosen life. They had chosen love. And that choice made all the difference.